Great. So I guess we're just going to get started by introducing ourselves a little bit more, so you guys can know a little bit more about us. But as she already said, I'm Kylie. I'm a business and psychology double major with a minor in crime and justice. I'm also a Florrie Fellow, which is our honors students. I'm an RA, so I'm just kind of all over the place. But I'm really excited to have you guys here and to give you a little bit of the best tour we can right now. Yeah, go ahead.
So going off of that, my name is Emme. I'm a rising senior, which is crazy, but that is exciting for me. I am a sociology major with 2 minors in social work and criminal justice, and I also study Spanish at Bridgewater College. I am no longer an RA, but I was in the past years, so I know a little bit about res life. I'm also on the Bridgewater women's volleyball team, so I know a little bit about sports, if anyone has questions about that. I'm pretty involved in our music department as well, so we can go ahead and get started on this tour. As Emily said when we first started, if you guys have any questions at all, just make sure you guys comment them in the chat so we can try our best to answer all of them. But our first stop is going to be in Memorial Hall. Okay, so Memorial Hall is, wow, this is actually kind of difficult to describe without being able to point and stuff, but this is where we house our communications department. So everyone will have a class in here just because everyone is required to take the class COM 100, oral COM to be exact. So it's a class where you learn about public speaking, and that's actually all you do throughout the entire semester. You usually take it within your first 2 years at Bridgewater College. But I believe there are some art classes in here as well. And it's actually right next to the admissions office. So if you're looking straight ahead at the admissions office, it's right next to it to the right. This is also where all the sports team bell is, which is something that I always like to mention every time an athletic team wins a game of some sort. So volleyball, basketball, football, whatever, the teams actually go and ring that bell, and it kind of signifies to the entire college, like, hey, we've won, which is pretty awesome. Other than that, I'm pretty sure that's it. I don't know, Kylie, do you want to add something about Memorial?
Just to add on a little bit about the bell, it's also rung at your opening freshman convocation and at your graduation. So it kind of will open and close your college career, which is really nice. And as she mentioned before, it's really crazy, especially when the football team wins and they go absolutely wild, and go ring the bell is always a really fun time. So you pretty much got it all. Now we're going to go on to Florrie Hall. Okay, there we go. So this is Florrie Hall. Florrie Hall houses our political science, history, world languages departments. Is that it? Is there anything else academic-wise in there? I don't think so. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that's all that's in there.
Our teacher education program.
Oh yeah, our teacher education program is also in there. Thank you. I knew I was forgetting something. And then we also have our career services in there. Career services is really active at Bridgewater. They're really good about sending out job opportunities for the surrounding area and getting you to different job expos and things like that to help you out. Our president's office is also in there, as well as the registrar's office, who you choose all your classes from. Everyone will kind of have a class in there at some point because you do have to take a world language. So you'll definitely be there at least a decent bit.
Something that I always like to mention is that Bridgewater College is a liberal arts school, so there is a certain number of classes that you are required to take during your time there. So like Kylie was saying, you will at some point in your time at Bridgewater be in this building, just because, like she said, if you don't place out a world language, you're going to be required to take one. But we have tons of languages that you can take. Something I also like to talk about on my tours when we step into this building. I wish we could show it to you guys now, but we have this huge bulletin board, and it's a bunch of pictures with experiences of students that have traveled all over the world to study abroad. And I love to talk about it because we have so many opportunities for someone to go, for a student to go and study abroad, whether it be for a full year, a semester, or even 3 to 4 weeks, which is usually what happens during the month of May, which would have been happening now. You can take a study abroad course for just May term is what we call it. So it's about 3 to 4 weeks, which is something that I actually did my freshman year. So I had the opportunity to study abroad in Germany and London my freshman year. So that was an amazing experience. I knew I really wanted to study abroad, but not sure how long, and definitely knew a year would have been too much, and maybe a semester too. So I decided to take the opportunity and go just for the month, and it was absolutely perfect. So the program that we have at Bridgewater is pretty good, and the people that are that help with all of that definitely work with you and help you find programs that fit you best. I think next up, we're going to go to the Center for Engaged Learning. Everyone just calls it the CEL, just to shorten it out. So as you can guess by the name, it's where a lot of engaged learning happens. A lot of groups, a lot of diversity groups on campus use this facility to host meetings. So a lot of our clubs and organizations meet in here. Kylie, do you know a little bit more about like who is in this building? I know there's like offices and stuff on the second floor, but
Yeah, Dr. Free, I believe, is in there. But through here, this is actually the Center for Engaged Learning does a lot of different like things on campus. Like for example, the Shoker Prize competition, which is actually a really cool opportunity for different groups of students to pick a problem, whether it's like a campus problem, a Virginia problem, a global problem, and try and come up with a solution to make something better. And there's actually like a cash prize you can win at the end. There's been all kinds of different things. I actually did it last year. We made a website to help stop animal dumping. Like we give a bunch of different information about like domestic pets, exotic pets. So you can do a lot of really cool stuff. They'll also help coordinate some people to come for like lectures and different things. Like different authors will come and talk and stuff like that. So
this is also where our fraternity on campus meets. Alpha Phi Omega, which is crazy because I'm wearing that sweatshirt right now, but we meet in there along with a whole bunch of other clubs and organizations like Kylie said. And I know that if you are in the Equal Success Mentor Program, the first meeting that happens with that organization actually happens in this building as well. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, there actually also though are some internships that are coordinated through here. So that's always a small little thing to keep in the back of your head. That's something that you can do. And I guess next we're on to the Carter Center. So this is the inside of the Carter Center. It used to be a old Church of the Brethren, but it's been renovated into essentially basically just the entirety of the music department is in there. I personally am actually in the guitar ensemble, and I was in choir last year along with Emme actually. And that's actually how we first met. So there's a lot of little ways you'll meet people on campus, and you'll find other ways you're connected. Like I was able to walk into student ambassadors, be like, oh, hey, like I know who you are. But there's a lot of different concerts that are held in the main upper section of the hall. But I'll let you talk a little bit more about that since you're a little bit more involved with it than I am.
Yeah, so I've actually been in the program since I was a freshman. So when I first got there, their music department is absolutely amazing. The acoustics in that chapel are amazing. Just because it's such a beautiful facility, and as you guys can tell, it's pretty big and open space. But so it has, I believe, 3 floors. There's a balcony, which people can sit on when they watch performances and stuff like that. And then on the basement, there are actually classrooms, so music classrooms. There were individual rooms that I think there were pictures of it earlier, where students can use those rooms to do individual practices. And the best part about this building, and actually about most of the buildings on the campus is that they're open literally 24/7. As long as you have your swipe, you can get into pretty much any building that you need to. So if you're pulling up an all-nighter, studying really hard, practicing for an upcoming recital of some sort, that's definitely a possibility. I think Kylie mentioned it earlier. We do have a lot of like different little ensembles here. So she said she was part of the guitar ensemble. I know there's like, we have a handbell choir, we have a cappella groups on campus, gospel choir, a ton of clubs and orgs that are through the music department, that if I'm sure if you have in your high school, you will most likely find it here. So a lot of different opportunities to get involved throughout the music department as well on campus.
Yeah, and you don't have to be like a music major, a music minor. Like, for example, I said my major's a minor and none of it's music, and yet I take 1 or 2 music classes. It's a really good way to like de-stress or get into something fun or practice something you already really enjoy and get credit for it. So
that's pretty much our Carter Center. Next up, we're going to go to the campus mall. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so this is it. It's basically a huge open area where if you stand in the middle of it, you can pretty much see every building on campus. Probably the only ones that you like won't be able to see from there is probably the Funk, and like the Villages and the towers maybe. But you can pretty much get a good sense of what the entire campus looks like. A lot of people, when we go on tour, because we are on feet, like we are walking through the campus, it feels a little overwhelming at first, but I always like to say that it's not. Like you'll get used to it within like the first day or two. It actually takes approximately 10 minutes to walk from one end of campus to the other end of campus. So not a far walk at all. One of the things that I absolutely love, because I can never get myself out of bed in the morning on time. So being able to get to class in 2 minutes, actually 1 minute or maybe 30 seconds is actually a huge plus for me. These trees that you guys see that are aligned perfectly side by side by another. Now, I always like to say that they were designed like that purposely because they're just so convenient. But actually, throughout like the springtime and when the weather is a lot warmer outside, you can see people in hammocks literally like at every single branch. Like everyone's out there on the campus mall. They have their towels, some are even tanning in their hammocks. And I honestly, I think that's such a great thing that I like to mention, because it really speaks about the community we have on campus. Not just saying that just to say it, but it is relatively small, so you get to see familiar faces all the time, but there's always people that you haven't met. Like it's crazy because I'm a senior now, and every day that I'm on campus, I still manage to see people that have been there like 3 years like me and still like haven't met them up until this point. That's pretty much it about this area. I'm not sure, Kylie, do you want to add anything about it?
just a little something else about the trees. They actually turn crimson and gold when they start to change colors. So they change the school colors, which is really, really cool and nice little artsy thing. But also just to add on a little bit to the point she made earlier about one of the benefits of having a relatively smaller campus is from like farthest point to farthest point, maybe it's like a 10-minute walk. But I mean, for me this year, my dorm, building all my classes were in, separated by a sidewalk. So you can literally wake up a minute before class and be in class on time, which is a really big benefit if you're someone who struggles to wake up on time. But there is also a Starbucks we'll get to in a minute that you'll be able to also go to and fill up that. But so next we're going to go to the John Kenny for Learning Commons, or just the Learning Commons. And this actually just opened, so we are all super excited about this new library. It is absolutely gigantic. I believe it's 4 levels.
Yeah, 4 levels.
Yeah, 4 levels. So first you have, down the lower level, you have, I believe, like special collections. And then on that main level, there's a Starbucks cafe that's called Smitty's. And personally, it's my favorite part of campus because I have a coffee problem. But you can see it a little bit right there in the corner. And then we have a second level where we have our digital scholarship gurus who are like all the student tech whizzes who help you out with your computer when you have issues. And we also have the writing center, which is available to students at pretty much all times. You can email in papers. You can also physically go in. Before you turn anything in, you can go there, have them look it over. They'll check it over for grammar. They can help you with like different ideas. So if you're someone who struggles with writing, there are definitely resources on campus to help you get stronger in that regard. And then the top level, we have some like private little classroom areas. And then the greet room, which is where you see most of the really, really pretty like shots of all of campus from now. And we're all just mainly really excited about it. There's nice little areas for you to be able to sit outside and enjoy some time outside with umbrellas. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, you pretty much covered it all. But that view where those people are at the top, where they're looking out at the glass, that view is absolutely amazing. You can pretty much get an overview about what the campus looks like. And we were all very, very excited when it opened up. So sad that this year our time in the library got cut a little bit shorter than we would have liked. But I am super, super excited to continue to be able to use this facility. But that's pretty much it. Yeah. Sorry,
yeah, they did a really good job also mixing up the different areas within it. So you have some that are much more private study areas, some that are more open. So there's kind of a little place for everybody in there, and it's just a nice place where like anyone on campus can come and find somewhere in there that they want to be. Good.
And the outside space is pretty awesome too. So next we're actually going to go to Bowman Hall. Bowman Hall is actually my second home apart from my residence hall on campus. This is because Bowman Hall houses sociology, psychology, business,
religion,
English,
philosophy.
And religion and philosophy. Gosh, I lost my train of thought. But this is what a typical classroom would look like. So it's kind of like, the normal, I feel like, high school classroom where you have like the desks and the chairs, the desks that are attached to the chairs and stuff like that. But we also have non-traditional classrooms, which are more like comfy lounges type of thing, like this one. There are a lot of those types of classrooms, and it all depends on the professor and what the professor is more comfortable, like what teaching setting they'd like. Personally, my personal favorite classroom are those classrooms with the comfy chairs. And at this point in my tour, I would mention something about the class size. So the professor to student ratio, I believe it's about a 16:1. So the further you get into your education at Bridgewater, the less and less people you are more likely to have in a given classroom. Actually, this year I had a class where it was just me and 6 other people. So a total of 7 people in a class and my professor. That is to say that the relationship with all of our professors are absolutely amazing, because we do have that opportunity to make those relationships and get that extra help if we need to, which is something that I absolutely love. And another thing that I absolutely love is that all of my professors know me by name. So that is a plus. Like, I'm not just a number. And they say hi to me when I'm like in the building and on campus, because it's on campus. They're people too, so they're going to be on campus as well. Anything else you want to add, Kylie? I didn't mention the writing center. Maybe you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, actually, the writing center I mentioned in the library because it just moved over there. Right before we had to go home, sadly. I think you hit most of the things I wanted to talk about, but I will kind of reemphasize, you can get really close to your professors because we are a bit smaller. One story I like to share is my professor for my business class, he's actually my advisor now that I became a business major, but there was one day where the Learning Commons wasn't open for some reason, and I was like, I won't have coffee for finals. Oh no, what am I going to do? And he actually made me coffee and brought it to the final, just because he is like, him and I got really close. We've been talking or whatever, and he's a really, really fun professor to be around. So they definitely care about you, and they're definitely willing to like put in the extra effort to help you succeed and do what you got to do. So just
All of the professors also have offices in which they post like office hours where students can come by and stop by during designated hours to get that extra one-on-one help if needed. This classroom actually right now that we're staring at is the second largest classroom on campus. The first one is actually in McKinney, but this is the second one, and I wish you could like see all of it, but it's actually not that huge. Oh, wow. But as I was saying, it's typically more, this classroom is actually barely used. It's typically used for more like one-on-one classes, and a lot of sports teams actually meet in here just because it's a bigger space. I know a lot of clubs do meet in here as well. But hopefully we'll get to see the classroom in McKinney. Not sure actually, but if we do not, the classroom in McKinney pretty much looks something like this. Not really, but so I guess the next area that we're going to go to is the link.
Yeah, the link in the residence halls. So, this is right inside a room. Okay, so this is about what a typical room looks like. You'll have 2 twin XL beds. You'll each have your own desk. And in this room, it looks like they have probably 2 wardrobes. Yeah. Some rooms you'll see they'll have 2 wardrobes, and then some, especially typically in the first year residence halls, sometimes like an entire wall will just kind of be like a built-in like wardrobe / storage area. It has like a hanging area, some drawers in the middle with like an area to put like a TV, and then like some storage bins up top. But regardless, there's usually a decent amount of storage. You can also raise your bed up and put storage under it if you ever feel like you don't have enough for some reason.
Some beds you can raise on your own. However, if you get a bed that doesn't, you would have to bring your own bed risers if you want them raised.
I actually did both. Like I had a bed that you could ratchet up, and I actually put my bed all the way up and put on giant risers. So you can make your bed really tall and use a stepladder to get in it like me, if that's really your prerogative. But
yeah, I did that too. Another thing that I like to mention is that you can pretty much decorate your room however you'd like. Like, as long as, I mean, obviously can be no nails and stuff in the walls and stuff, but you can decorate it in whatever way you want. We are in what is called the link. So this building actually connects 2 residence halls, which is right in Heritage. Heritage actually houses some freshmen on the basement and the first level, and every level is co-ed by gender. So I was actually an RA in this building. So the year that I was an RA, I had males on the basement, women on the first floor, second floor were males, and third floor were women. Like I said, it's a pretty great building. This area that the people are actually sitting in is an open area that connects the 2 buildings together, which is why it's called the link. This is also where our Starbucks used to be before our library opened up. I saw a question on there about restrooms. The bathroom in this building, the bathrooms are community style bathrooms. So it's more like, I'd like to explain it more of like that TV, that show type of image that you get when you think about college. However, we do have buildings on campus where there are suite style bathrooms. So a bathroom is shared between your room and the person in the room next door. We also have a building where it's just individual bathrooms. So we do have a lot of options about that.
there also are sometimes like even little divisions within certain residence halls. For example, in Wright, because I actually had the same assignment. I actually got your room from last year, this year, because I was an RA in Heritage this year. And like there are some in Wright that have like in that room itself, it has its own little bathroom. But that's not always the case. That's kind of also determined on like, do you really need that? And sometimes that's saved for people who might actually need it because they have an injury or something like that. So we have a mix of different types of rooms. I just saw someone ask about quad rooms pop up really fast. So there are some single rooms. Those are a bit harder to get, but they're not impossible. You can get those. Most rooms are double rooms, which is just you and one other person. They do have some triples and quads, which are typically just a lot bigger. Um, and for the most part, there's always enough space for all of you guys. It's not too bad. You have to learn to share a little bit with space, because it's different having to live with somebody else, but it's definitely not impossible. It's not too hard. And
So sorry.
we do have a 4-year residency requirement. So you do have to live on campus all 4 years, at least as of right now. Sometimes that changes for seniors depending on the year, but that's kind of a year by year thing. Just kind of depends on what's available, and that kind of thing. You can bring a TV, you can bring an Xbox. There is Wi-Fi in all of the rooms. Usually it's pretty good. For the most part, I don't usually have too many issues regarding that. Sorry, I saw a lot of questions pop up right away. Starting sophomore year, you can be an RA. So just to kind of mention that, a really good way to do kind of like an on-campus employment is to become an RA, and I'm not biased or anything. But you do get a tuition stipend and you get standard housing rate no matter where you live. So even if you're in something that's considered like luxury housing, it's the same price as a regular res hall room. Outside of this, we do have some first year, some res halls are exclusive for first years. That would be Dillon, Geyser, Wakeman, but that's under renovation next year, so we actually won't be in that. And then we also, I believe that's it. This year, actually, Daleville will be a co-ed first year residence hall. Up until this year, that's always been an all-female residence hall. But because of Wakeman closing next year, it's going to be co-ed for the first time, so that'll be interesting. We do also have some res halls that are for upperclassmen, like Blue Ridge. Don't know why that almost escaped my mind for a second. Blue Ridge and Wright. Heritage, the top 2 floors are upperclassmen, and the first and basement are honors freshmen, and then some transfer students are usually also on those floors. And I'm not 100% sure if, do we see Tower? I think we'll see Towers and Village at some point throughout this, which are also upperclassmen areas. And I guess, sorry, I'm like rattling off stuff really fast, but I guess I'll also mention for housing selection, you are assigned a housing score. And the way it works is your credits and your GPA get turned into a number, and you pick an order of numbers. And if you have the same number as somebody, it's kind of a lottery within that number. I just saw the question. Yeah, all dorms are air conditioned. Thank you for answering that. Do you have anything else to add after that?
No, pretty much what I like to say is that the only year you're really considered an underclassman is your freshman year. Other than that, you're pretty much in the pool with everyone else, because you can pretty much live anywhere your sophomore year, depending on your housing points and GPA. We have this system which Kylie and I can talk about a little bit after at the end of the tour. I'm sure people will have a lot of questions about housing, but just for like the purposes of the tour, we're going to continue, and then hopefully we can answer all of your questions towards the end. So our next stop is actually going to be McKinney Center. This is McKinney. So this is our math and science building. As you can see from that first picture there, it's pretty much your typical lab classroom like you would have in high school, I believe. This is what the building looks like from the outside. So Bridgewater has that common theme of like those beautiful pillars and stuff like that. It's actually like a beautiful building to just look at. And then there are the trees, and then this is pretty much like the mall again. So we just walked from one end to the other end of campus, the width actually of it. But like I said, this is our math and science building. In this building, we actually have a lot of different classrooms. So we have some classrooms in which there are smart boards, whiteboards, still chalkboards and stuff like that. We have desks and chairs that are on wheels. We have tons and tons of lab rooms like this one. And this is also where we also have the biggest classroom on campus. That classroom actually houses 101 students, so not that big at all. At a much bigger university like JMU, a typical classroom size will be anywhere from 400 to 500 students into a classroom. This is actually the classroom that I was speaking about. I took one class here in the 3 years that I've been at Bridgewater, one class here, and it was Math 101 or something like that. And even though it was a freshman class and it was a freshman 100 level class in which a lot of people had to take, majority of people have to take, not every single chair in that classroom was taken. It's just not going to happen.
I think used for meetings a lot. Like there's a monthly RA meeting in there, that kind of stuff. Spoiler alert, if you're looking for the classroom that's going to have a 500 person lecture, that's not Bridgewater.
There aren't even that many people in your major. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about this building at all, not too familiar with math and sciencey part. That's definitely not my strong suit. But I do know my roommate's actually a biochem major. She spends a lot of time in here. This building is also open 24 hours with a swipe, of course. We have, for security purposes, not just anyone can get into our buildings. You have to have a swipe in which students are given when they go and attend Bridgewater. And so it's available through swipe. There are also some computer labs. Yeah, like Kylie swiped there. There are some computer labs here. So in case your computer crashes or something like that, you can definitely walk on over to this building and use the computer if it's late at night and the IT center is not open. The IT center is also actually in Bowman. We passed that building, but I forgot to mention it. But we do have an amazing IT center in which like they help with all technological stuff like laptops and stuff like that, TVs and stuff like that. And they're there on campus to help you with whatever technical issues you may have, Wi-Fi related or such. And you can also rent a laptop from them too. The IDs that I talked about, you get those the second you start Bridgewater. So your freshman year,
you're
issued a card. Yeah, you're issued a card, and that's pretty much what I say. Your life. You can't live on campus without it. You actually can't even eat without it. And especially if you live in a dorm room, you can't get into the building without it. So it's super, super important that when I always emphasize it's super important to make sure you always have that. And sorry. So anything else you want to add, Kylie? Sorry.
I will mention that Gamers Club meets in here, just a little plug for that. So if you're someone who enjoys gaming, there's clubs that meet in here for you. Like we play Magic all the time. That's my game right there. But just for a little context, the first floor of this building is biology. The second floor is the computer labs, which is more like computer science major, I should say. Okay, yeah. And then the top is chemistry. There's like some environmental mix kind of throughout. That kind of varies a little bit. But just for anyone who's interested in those disciplines, that's kind of how it's set up. I also saw one quick thing popped up for in the dorms. They kind of just answered it. Wi-Fi is available, and you can attach it wirelessly like computers and phones, but things like Xboxes need Ethernet cables to plug into the thing on the wall. So it kind of depends on the device.
If you're worried about like having Wi-Fi like for your laptop and stuff, like for like schoolwork, like you get Wi-Fi anywhere you get on campus. So you can be like outside on the mall and like your laptop and phone will still be connected and stuff like that. So I've never had an issue with the Wi-Fi, not even when I moved in. But it's just me. Next up, we're going to go to the tower, which is Upperclassmen Housing. I actually lived in the towers this year.
And go ahead. You got it.
Yeah. You want to? Okay.
Live there. You got it.
There was a question earlier about where do upperclassmen live. This is an upperclassmen housing option. These towers, they're actually apartments. So there are 4 apartments on each level, and there are 3 levels. The first 2 levels are 4 people apartment. So each apartment has 2 bedrooms and a bathroom that is shared within the apartment. And then the top, you guys see like little like white, like almost hump thing. The top actually has a 6-person apartments, which is 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and has a full-size kitchen, a living room. I really wish, like, obviously you guys could see the inside, but they're pretty nice apartment style housing options that we have on campus, since you are required to live on campus all 4 years. And I can just personally say that this year I had an absolute blast living there. If you are really close with the people that you decide to live with, and you guys all get along, this is a great opportunity to live on campus and stuff like that. This is not our only option as far as like apartment style goes. We actually have a much newer apartments that upperclassmen can also live on, which we can talk about later on in the tour when it comes up. But yeah, there's A through D, so 4 towers, 4 towers, and that's right next to McKinney. So
this might be a good time to point out, because there's centralized laundry here, I believe, right? Every residence hall does have some form of laundry. In some places, it's a bit more centralized, like in Geyser, the laundry is all in the basement. In Heritage, there's laundry on each floor, so it kind of depends on your building, but there is free laundry. We redid all the washers and dryers this year, so now they're connected to an app that will tell you whether they're available, whether they're not available, how much time is on it. And that app usually works pretty well. Sometimes it has issues, but it's way better than just guessing and walking down the stairs 80 times.
yeah, it definitely helped me out because I lived on the very top floor. So yeah,
it was nice you could know
those
before
flights
you
of
went.
stairs.
And then I haven't really decided where the best place to add this was, so I'm just going to do it here, I guess. Bridgewater is a dry campus. So just for all of you to know that, there is no alcohol allowed on campus, even if you are over 21. The exception to that is tailgating. We do have football tailgates, and you are allowed to have alcohol when you are in the tailgating area, specifically. Are they higher fish that we bring?
So next up, we're gonna go to Muma and Rebecca Hall.
Yeah.
I just saw the washer comment. Sorry. They recommend that you bring like the liquid detergent and softeners. They actually don't like you to bring like the pods, just because it kind of messes up with the washers and stuff like that. I don't know if that helps answer the question. I don't know. Kylie, do you have anything to say?
I kind of answered that. They're everything.
Okay.
I think they're good. We got a confirmation. It's answered enough. Okay.
So this is Muma. Kylie, you can talk about. I don't know.
Okay, so in MUMA, that is Family Consumer Sciences. I personally haven't really been in MUMA that much. So I have a bit of a limited experience with that. They do have a really nice lobby in there that I've been in a few times. But that is attached to Rebecca. And inside of Rebecca, there is financial aid is in there, which is someone you're definitely going to want to get nice with. They also, down at the bottom of Rebecca, there's a large sculpture lab. So you can go down there and do clay, as you can see right here. And that's really popular. I'm actually friends with one of the professors for Clay's daughter. And it's really, really fun. Even if you're not someone who's in art, you can go down there and use those. You don't necessarily have to be in that specific class. If you just have your clay that is yours that you can use, you can go down and use those facilities. Inside Rebecca is also the Boynton room, and that's going to be a room where likely you'll have a lot of different meetings and club meetings and just different gatherings and stuff like that are in there.
The thing that I want to mention that I love about Muma, I absolutely love children. So, and during the school day, because our teacher ed program does spend a lot of time in here, obviously, as you guys can see, I'm don't take my word up for it, but I always see little kids, so little kids are always here. So I'm assuming it's some sort of class or maybe some sort of daycare. I'm not entirely sure, but I always see little kids with backpacks coming out of that building, which is the cutest little thing. Um, but this is just to emphasize on how great our teacher education program is. Um, I don't know these statistics, but a lot of the time, as soon as a lot of our students from that graduate in the teacher ed program automatically either go into a job or are guaranteed a job straight out of college. So
It's very rare they don't get a job coming out of the education program. It's, at least in my experience, the majority of people I know who have come out of that program have either come out like with a job or were able to, like, within a month of graduating, had some kind of job secured. They do a really good job on the teacher education program.
If you guys have like any questions on like this specific building or Rebecca Hall, we can definitely point you guys towards resources that'll be better in answering those questions.
Yeah, this part down here is part of the lab. Music ed would be different from this. Music ed, I think, isn't that like a kind of a combination where you have some classes that were in settings like that, but then you'd also have to have some of the music classes.
So all the teacher education like classes and stuff like that, they're all the same regardless of what you want to go into teaching, like to teach. So even if you want to be like a history teacher or like a math teacher, they're all in the same teacher education program, but then they have like certain classes aside from that program that they have to take in the specific field that they want to go into teaching. So for a music education student, they would most likely be in Carter Center a lot, which is where our music department is, and then Florrie, which is where the teacher education program happens. This basement, I've actually never been down here.
It's really big. And it's actually really, really cool, especially because this picture, you don't get to see it, but when we are in session, there's busts and pots and plates and cups people have made just everywhere. And it's really, really fun being able to see all the different creative things people are able to come up with in their different like pottery or ceramics classes. And actually, there are sometimes opportunities for you to sell the things you made in class to get a grade. At different little events or whatever. I had one friend last year who made like $50 one day because she sold 3 things she made for class, which, like, how awesome is that? You get to make money off an assignment. But is it hard? Like, to get into for some classes, it really depends on like your year. As you get up, it's easier and easier to pick, especially if you're an honor student, it gets easier and easier to pick. For the most part, most art classes aren't that hard to get into. The cap on most classes is 40. Sometimes you'll have less than that, but for the most part, it's not too bad. Maybe your freshman year might be a little difficult, but after that, I don't really see you having too many problems.
So we are actually going to move along and go to our Funkhauser Center. So the Funkhauser Center actually houses the main gym. So this gym is like open to absolutely everyone on campus, even professors, and even some close community members that have access to this gym. I think a little bit further into our tour, we're going to pass by Neininger. I guess I'll talk about it when we get there, but that gym is actually closed to student athletes only. So this is the main gym where everybody else goes to. So right here, we are actually in the main gym. That's a huge open area, and you see people playing anything from basketball to indoor soccer. We also have an indoor track in there, which is pretty cool. I see people playing volleyball in there. And the hours of the Funk, I believe, I think, don't they open at like 6 or something?
Yeah,
like that?
I believe 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And students can work at it. So if you're looking for employment, it's another good option. I always like pointing those out to people because I know some people want that coming in.
It's actually it's all student employed. So like even the instructors that teach the Zumba classes or like the weightlifting classes in there, which I think someone asked about a dance studio. That picture right there is the dance studio on in that building. They're all student run, so they're all student taught, and they're pretty good. There are a lot of cool opportunities to work in that gym. And also, if you have a certain sport like soccer or basketball, or even if you like need camping gear, all that stuff can be checked out at the front desk from the Funk. Again, you need your student swipe. So like I mentioned earlier, you really can't do anything on campus without that swipe. They actually make you swipe as soon as you get into that building to even have access to the gym. And then you can pretty much use absolutely anything in the facility, and anything that you may need. So like yoga mats, anything like that, you can check out at the front desk.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much it for this. Oh, I guess we can also talk about intramurals. So if you are very passionate about a sport, but you don't necessarily want to go into the sport at a collegiate level, we have intramurals and sports that you can play here, which are super competitive actually. People take them very seriously, and you have the opportunity to win like a trophy, a t-shirt, some other prizes too. T-shirts are kind of like bragging rights on campus, so if you win one of those, you're like automatically cool.
Soccer and basketball intramurals are super serious. But there also are some fun ones. There's actually one that you can do family weekend, and I actually am a current cornhole champion. Me and my dad the cornhole intramurals. So there's different kinds of intramurals, different levels of competitiveness to kind of help suit everybody. There's even little ping pong tournaments on some tables over there. So there's always a little something competitive you could get into.
Yeah. Somebody asked about wrestling or rugby. We do have a rugby team actually. It is currently not co-ed though, so I don't think we've had enough female participants to make it co-ed, but if that's definitely something you would love to see on campus, then
it is really, Bridgewater is really good about helping students get things they want to try, like different clubs and such, up and running. So if that's something you're interested in doing and we don't already have it, if you want to come in and be like, hey, I'm gonna make this club a thing. Our Women at Work club, we had a freshman come in last year who was like, I really want to work on like a club about like women's rights and like women in the workplace. And she did it, and it's a really good club that has a lot of members. So you can definitely do what you want. We don't have a cornhole club officially, but we can make that a thing. They're also trying to make a disc golf team. Professor Bradley in the psych department really is trying to make that disc golf team like a thing. So if you're interested in that, keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah. So now we are going to go to the Center for Diversity, Education, and Advocacy. This is another cool building in which clubs and organizations on campus meet. It's actually about 30 seconds away from the gym.
Right next to the parking lot.
Is there anything you want to? I mean, this is just it's a nice place where clubs can meet.
Yeah.
There's a cool backyard in which people use to like have cookouts and stuff like that. So it's a pretty cool place.
Black Student Association will have meetings there sometimes. Asian Student Association has meetings there sometimes. There's also different things like Netflix and chats that will sometimes be coordinated through this, where they watch a really popular TV show or something. Like they one time they watch like The Hate U Give. Then you sit down and you have a discussion about it. So if you're interested in having like those kinds of discussions, especially discussions about diversity and how Bridgewater can better show their diversity, then you can definitely do that through this center. I think that's the majority for that. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this building.
Then I guess next we're going to go to the Stone Village. So Stone Village, this is another one of our upperclassmen housing options. So it basically looks like beach houses. And they kind of honestly feel like beach houses when you're in them. Um, as of right now, they're going to be 6-person apartments in each house. There's 3 or 4 apartments per house, I think. Maybe, yeah. If I remember.
Yeah.
Okay. And you do have like a really nice big common living room area, and then you'll have some private rooms. But this is a really, really nice place, especially as you get older in your college career, to feel like you aren't on campus anymore, even though you are. And you can get this as early as sophomore year. I think I just saw like how much more do they usually cost. I think it's like,
I don't even know.
I'm not 100% sure, so I don't necessarily want to give a number and be wrong. It's not crazy of a difference. Like you're not paying like a triple what you would pay for a dorm. Like it's not that crazy or anything like that. So I wish I could tell you an exact number, but I really don't have an exact number for you, and I don't want to lie to you.
So this is just the other residence hall that we were talking about for upperclassmen apartment style. So as you can see, we have tons of housing choices on campus, tons of opportunities for you to live throughout campus. That's pretty much it.
There's a nice little outdoor area here. You can grill if you want. This is kind of up on like a corner of campus. So um, also just to say, there's a bike, like a really big bike rack here. You can bring a bike to campus, depending on where you're going to live. I encourage it because there's no real harm in having one. Um, um, yeah. Also, you can have your own car on campus. Everyone can have a car. There is a decent bike community, and we actually have BC bikes that you can sign out and like take for a day or two if you need to like ride to the store or something like that. That's totally something you can do. You'll see people biking around all the time. I lost my train of thought before I was saying that, but oh, yeah, you can have a car on campus. Anyone can have one. You just need to get a parking pass. There's usually parking for everyone where you need to be. Yes, you can bring a scooter. Do not ride it inside, please. I hate having.
So, sorry, just for like the purposes of our tour, we're gonna save questions till the very end and try to answer all of them. We're gonna try and show you guys the rest of campus very quickly. So, next up is Cole Hall. It's pretty much a okay. So, right underneath Cole Hall is the campus store. That campus store is pretty cool. It has a whole bunch of BC gear, and they have a whole bunch of like cool deals going on throughout the year. Yeah, sorry. And then so Cole Hall is also actually where we have our Eagle's Nest. Sorry, our Eagle's Nest. It's also where our main dining hall is.
Yeah.
This is actually Cole Hall right here.
Yeah.
That's the stadium up.
And that's one of the shows we have. We have a really, really, really fun theater department at Bridgewater. I actually been in a couple shows. I have my posters hanging up back there. But if you're really interested in theater, that's something that we highly encourage you to come out and do. We usually have one main stage show each semester. But then we have little honors projects. So there's always different little shows. And I've known a lot of people who are like, acting, whatever. And then they ended up auditioning and acting in like a friend's honors project. And they absolutely loved it. So definitely something fun you can get involved with. That's my little theater plug. We have a group called Opinion Players, and we'd be really excited to have you.
It's also where a lot of convocations happen. So sometimes we have really big speakers that come. I'm sure you guys heard that Monica Lewinsky actually came to our school this year and talked. She actually was not in this room because there were a lot of people that came to that. So, but this is where a majority of those important speakers come and speak and all that good stuff. So that's pretty much it for Cole Hall. We're going to actually take you guys to the KCC next, or I guess the Klein Campus Center. No one really says that. Everyone just kind of says the KCC because it's short and sweet. But this building, this area right here is,
Where are we? Okay.
Right outside. Right outside the building. And this is actually the lobby of the KCC. So it's right outside the dining hall. Again, you need your swipe to get into there. And we also have some outdoor seating, which is pretty awesome. This outdoor seating, the patio is actually like outside of the Eagle's Nest, what we call, which is this huge study area that we have on campus that a lot of people use. I think the next picture is just a picture of our salad bar. So we have a whole bunch of different stations in the KCC. We have a salad bar, we have a grill station, we have a mango fresh line, and throughout the entire day, there are different things being served all throughout the day, depending on the time of day. So breakfast, there'll be breakfast things out. Lunch, there'll be lunch things out. Dinner stuff out and stuff like that. I was gonna say one more thing. Yeah, here. So we do have a bunch of food options available. We also have a vegetarian line for those who don't eat meat like myself. Cereal and bagels and all that good stuff is always available. So if anything that is in the lines is something that you're like, oh, not today, cereal is always the go-to, I'd like to say. Yeah, anything else you want to add about this place?
So in the lower level of the KCC, we do have counseling services. Don't know if you fully mentioned that or not. We also have our mail downstairs. So you either swipe for packages, you can get them sent directly to campus. They also might get put in a little locker thing that you can go boop, 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 type in a pin. A locker pops open. It's always really fun and exciting. We do also, I guess is usually where I would mention, we have a online printing station. So you can print wirelessly, or you can go to a machine, sign into your Google Doc, put a USB in it, whatever you want, to be able to use the printers on campus. I also would say that upstairs everyone has the same meal plan. Everyone is unlimited. So you could just sit at the machine and go like this with your swipe if you really wanted to for some reason. But there are also some events that are held in there. Therapy dogs come to the lawn right in front of the KCC, usually once a month, which is really nice. So you pet them. So I think that's pretty much all the little things about that. All right, now we're going to go to Yunt Hall. So this is the admissions office. So if you want to be a student ambassador, this is where you need to go. But if you have any questions for any of your admissions counselors or anything like that, this is where their offices would be. Is there anything else you really want to say about it?
This is where you would have started your tour if you came on campus.
Yeah.
We would have done our little introduction right outside that door. But it's a great place. Everyone that works in here is absolutely amazing, very helpful, super helpful. So if you have any questions, even now, if we don't get to answer them, definitely send them an email, give them a phone call, or stuff like that. They'll be more than happy to answer them. So next is Nininger Hall. This is our main athletic center, or athletic gym on campus. So like I mentioned earlier, the Funk is open to all students to use to work out in and stuff like that. This facility is actually only able to be used by student athletes. So during the seasons, we have different seasons, obviously. So during the fall, volleyball is usually in here all the time. During the spring-ish, kind of fall-ish, kind of ish, is basketball. This is also where we have our pool. So this is actually the front of the building. And we also have different classrooms in here. So if you're into like, oh gosh, what's that program? Like if you're taking a health and exercise science class or studying to be an athletic trainer or in the AT program, stuff like that, this is where you would be as well. These rooms that we're showing you in, they're actually students, but they've been trained in athletic training, obviously, and we have a great coordinator there, her Her name's Ellen, and she runs that program down there. So like I said, we also have our pool in there. The pool actually has open swim hours, so it's not just available just for the swim team. If you're a huge swimmer, you really want to get a swim in, we have certain swim times that you can come in and swim about that. But that's pretty much it for this facility. The president also has like a little meeting area in here. Sometimes he'll host meetings and stuff like that. This is actually the Hall of Fame, so if you were to walk through this hallway here, you could see all the accomplishments that Bridgewater College has had throughout the years. Like I said, this main gym is actually pretty huge. Some fun fact about this building is when they redid the building, they actually kept some of the old like the old design to it just to keep its originality with it. It's pretty cool. I saw someone, I think earlier, that said they were on the volleyball team, so you'll be in here a lot. And let me tell you, all the basketball games, volleyball games, like even if you're a regular student on campus, you'll want to show up and come to them because they're pretty cool, pretty hyped to come to.
They're fun.
Cheerleaders also participate in here. But yeah, that's pretty much it about 9 and 0. We can answer any questions as they come along with, but I believe the last thing on our tour is the athletic complex for today. Just kidding, the equestrian center is the last.
Oh, it is the complex first though. So the Jobson Athletic Complex, this is our main turf field. So football plays on here, field hockey, lacrosse, they're all out here. Definitely recommend coming to some football games. They're always really fun. We did win the ODAC championship last year. And that was a crazy game. That was really fun to be in the stands for. We'll also have different things like alumni games. I have a cousin who used to go to Bridgewater and he played lacrosse. So he comes back during homecoming and plays in the alumni lacrosse game. We also have our baseball diamond and softball field. And then back past those, we have our soccer game fields. The soccer practice fields are behind the towers that we saw earlier. And like I said earlier, there is tailgating for the football games. So that's usually pretty fun. Everyone who's of age can bring alcohol into there during that. But usually a nice place to set up, play cornhole, have some fun. There's tennis courts right there. You do have to take an exercise science class. So tennis could be one of your options, as well as ballet, swimming, yoga, anything really. So look for the equestrian center. You can do equestrian as one of your exercise science, and we actually are on to that next, unless you have anything else to say about the field. Right.
Oh, the track is open to anyone, so like if you really like running on a track, you can definitely run on it.
This is our equestrian center. We do have, real quick, I was going to say, we do have 2 barns. We have an upper barn and a lower barn. One of them mostly holds school horses that are used for lessons and teaching purposes. And then there's also another barn that has some school horses, but also is available for people to board their own horses that they might possibly want to bring with them. But the equestrian's really fun. You don't have to pay money to go into football games. They're free for students, whoever just sent that question. Just
the
bring your
equestrian center is also off campus, so you would have to drive to the place, but
it's not crazy bad to have to go there at all.
So I believe that is pretty much it for our tour.
So now let your questions roll, I guess. If you asked a question earlier and we weren't able to answer it because we didn't see it or something like that, feel free to send it again. Or if you have a new question, also feel free to send that in the chat, I guess.
I don't know, Emily are you going to facilitate?
Facilitate with that, or should we just read the chat?
All right. So thank you guys for coming. I know that there's going to be a couple more questions rolling in, but I just want to take this time to thank you guys for coming for the session and the tour tonight. And I also just wanted to let you guys know that Megan has dropped the survey in the chat box, and we would encourage you to take the survey so that way you can be entered into win one of our prizes for the evening. So make sure that you guys do that before you guys head out. And then I think that Emme and Kylie are going to answer those questions in the chat really quick. But that is everything that I have for you guys. So we really appreciate you guys coming.